I'm excited about today's review because it's a beer from the USA. This is from Widowmaker Brewery and it is called Polychronic Tomb. But what's it going to be like? Keep watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we're going stateside. And this is a beer from a brewery that I've never heard of before called Widowmaker Brewery, based in Massachusetts in the USA. This was recommended, the brewery was recommended by Ian at Prost. He got quite a few US beers in. This one was, to be honest, this one was one of the cheapest I could get. They did have a lot of those Trillium ones, which you may have seen sort of knocking about at the moment. But £9.50, 10 quid for a can of beer, it's a bit too much. This was just over 6 quid. It's a 6% New England IPA. It's a pint. That's why I could warrant spend a little bit more, because there's a little bit more volume in this can. But I don't know anything about it. There's nothing on it about the hops. I have just picked it up and thought, oh, look, there's a little QR code there. I could have probably scanned that and found what the hops are in it. But let's go in blind. Let's see what it's going to be like. Let's see if the American beers, whether there's the hype is duly justified. Let's crack it open and get it in a glass. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these beers are, well, this one's very lively. It's just literally popped out. It's fresh. It was brewed in May. So, yeah, that's the thing with a lot of these American beers. You've got to get them when they're fresh, really. God, it's really lively. It's mainly froth. Okay, I'm going to wait a little bit. I'm going to pause the video and wait for that to go down, and then I'm going to try and pour it again. Okay, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back. I've been waiting at least 15 minutes, and it still is not going down at all. I've tried to sort of froth some of it out. I didn't want to waste it, and I've jiggled it around a little bit. But this is about what we're going to get. So it's quite lively. Obviously, these beers that come all the way from the States, I think you're always going to get some that are going to be a little bit more explosive as they haven't travelled well. But anyway, beer in a glass, ignoring the forefinger of very sort of frothy and never going to ever disappear head. It's a beautiful colour looking beer in terms of its colour. So it's bright yellow, gold, custard in a glass, chicken soup, straw coloured, whatever you want to describe it. A very typical New England IPA. Let's see if I can get any aroma through all this froth. Yeah, very sort of bright citrus sort of aroma. Limes, very sort of lime hitting. There's a lot of grapefruit coming through. I'm hazarding a guess that there's probably going to be a bit of Nelson Sauvin, because there's that sort of really sharp melon and gooseberry sort of aroma in there as well. It's got that sort of New Zealand twang in terms of its aroma, so probably its flavour is going to be similar. Okay, well, I could be here all day waiting for that head to go down, so let's see if I can dive right in and get a good taste. Cheers, everyone. Oh, it's flavour-wise massive. It's almost got like a crunchy apple. I'm sure this has got a multitude of New Zealand hops in it. Definitely Nelson. You get that sharp lime, Muteca probably as well. Muteca has that sharp lime. There's sharpness of lime, there's gooseberry, there's melon, there's lemons, there's grapefruit. Even a little bit of pink grapefruit flavour coming through there as well. A real bright, sharp sort of flavoured fruits. I wouldn't say you're getting huge amounts of tropical flavours. It's very the New Zealand sort of flavours. Has that slight sort of that lemongrass sort of flavour, that slight savoury sort of spring onion sort of twang to it, but it's fresh. It tastes really fresh. I mean, again, as I said, with these American beers, you're taking a chance with them. I've had some American beers that have been really good, and I've had some that have been almost like, well, why did I spend that money on them? Because they were that poor. And I think I know there's, like in England, you know, in USA, they're seen as they're the perpetrators of East Coast, West Coast IPAs, you know, beers from sort of Massachusetts, you know, like your Bostons and places like that. And obviously Massachusetts is a huge state. Is where a lot of the good beers, New England obviously as well. And you're looking at people like Trillium. I mean, obviously I haven't heard of these guys, Widowmaker, but You've got Tree House, I think they're called. Monkish is another one. These are the big, you know, posh top. They're the sort of Daya Vedant, Cloudwater, though they're of the USA, in my opinion, anyway. But anyway, back to this beer. It's a great beer. It's definitely a beer to be recommended. As I said, if you like that those sort of citrusy New Zealand sort of kiwi, melon, gooseberry, grape sharpness of grapefruit, really cuts through any sort of thirst that you've had. Glad to say the head is nearly gone, so let's see if I can top it up without giving it too much more of a head the next time. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously I have been pouring and drinking and stuff, but it's a lovely coloured beer. It's a shame that it was a bit explosive like when I got it out, because I think I would have enjoyed it better, but flavour wise it is spot on. Mouthfeel, yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of zippy carbonation. It's not soft, it's not overly, but it's that prickly carbonation that just gets the flavour really. It almost like accentuates that sort of zest and lime, that real strong lime flavour. It almost makes it even more flavoursome with that little bit of carbonation. But apart from that, it's quite smooth, almost velvety. It's a very sort of, I would say, medium bodied. It does remind me of a beer that I've had, a couple of beers. It's very, very, if I was comparing this site by, if I drank this blind, I would have said, that's probably a Verdant beer. It's got a lot of those sort of Verdant characteristics. And I know Verdant make very good sort of New England, New Zealand hopped beers. And it reminds me a lot of that. I think of things like Timing's End and, which was that one that was called Sniffing the Wrong People. Those ones were very, very, very similar to this. I think it's obviously New Zealand hops, but brewed in that same way. The big difference for me, I think, is just the fact that it's, and I don't know if this is how it should be or just how it is because it's travelled, is that it's a little bit more carbonated, a little bit more sort of prickly and frothy on that carbonation. You can see now, I mean, I've poured it all out now, and a normal beer would have, a normal New England beer from these sort of big hitters would literally be sort of, there'd be no froth on there at all, but there's still froth. It's not going away. Does that make it better or worse? I'm not sure. I just think that carbonation just gives it a little bit more zip, and it almost encourages more flavours. But underneath it, when it sits, once it goes down, you get that zippy sort of sherbety sort of sensation. When it goes down, it just sort of glides down as if there's no carbonation at all. So it's a bit of a weird one, but a very good beer. I've drank this too quickly, mainly because I kept sipping it when I was trying to get rid of that head sort of thing. So I've not feel that I've had the full experience of the whole beer, but definitely recommended. But let me know if you've had anything from Widowmaker, not to be confused by the Dee Snider fronted band Widowmaker Brewery. This is a Polychronic tomb. Ian from Prost did have 3 different beers from this company in there, so yeah, I'm probably going to see if I can try a different one from them. Very reasonable, but this is good beer. Is it worth the hype? Well, I should say you can buy a Verdant. If you buy a good Verdant beer, it's very similar to this. So, yeah, I don't know. If I'd paid 10 quid, I feel what I would have thought would have been a bit shortchanged. But it's not bad. It's not bad at all. In fact, it's a very good beer. Let's face it, it's a very good beer. But I'm thinking, well, I did pay a little bit more for it, so I've got to take that into account. But anyway, I'm waffling now, and I want to enjoy this 2 sips of beer on my couch. You know, in a soft furnishing basically. So I'm going to stop now, but I'll be back in literally 2 seconds to do some scores. Okay, the scores are in for, well, what have we got? We've got a Polychronic tomb. Polychronic tomb, that's what it's called. It's a New England IPA, 6% from Widowmaker Brewery. So let's get them scores. Starting with aroma, appearance, flavour, value for money, and finally my overall experience. Tighten the scores up. Yeah, even with the froth, even with the fact it's a bit more expensive, we still get just about into highly recommended score of, yeah, definitely worth trying. If you see anything from Widowmaker, give it a go, because I think they're very good beers. They're good USA beers. They're not as expensive as some of the others, so that's always worth trying. But let me know if you've had anything from Widowmaker before. Have you any US beers that you think, yeah, when I can see them, I'll pay 10 quid for them. They're worth it. Let me know in the comments. And until the next one, you know what you do. Drink good craft beer and keep on rocking.